Hi everybody, and welcome back to FANG Friday. This is Ross Healy, the Chairman of Strategic Analysis Corporation and the Senior Portfolio Manager at McNichol & Associates Asset Management. Two things today. First, as always, remember to like this video, and if you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel to make sure you get these videos every Friday as we publish them. And again, a special thank you to everyone who liked us last week. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Last week, I showed you how Apple could double its market capitalization and not really improve its visible fundamentals, that is, its sales and even its earnings growth, all by vigorously using share buybacks to substantially reduce its equity base and thereby increase its return on equity. Well, we got a number of questions about our analysis of the company, and today at the end I will review some of the more trenchant issues that were raised and what SVA has to say about them after we cover the FANGs this week. Just a reminder, if you've been watching FANG Friday for a while and want to take that next step, just send us an email outlining where you are in your investment journey. Anyway, right now, let's take a look at what the FANGs are doing. Well, this has been a very interesting week, hasn't it? Okay, Amazon had come up to its HB4 price, that's 20 times its book value, broke out very nicely, and pulled back late in the week, but has actually pulled back a little bit below its HB4 price. Now, usually, I mean, look what happened here back in April when the stock broke out. Okay, it broke out, pulled back all right, but its stock did on its HB3 structural price. This time, it has not. Okay, well, let's keep going for a bit, because Microsoft has done exactly the same thing. It's broken out nicely, and it's pulled back, as a good stock should, but it also is having a little trouble stopping at its HB2 price. So that's 2. And what about Netflix? Well, as much of a pain in this stock is, it looked like it had broken out, and look at it, it broke out, pulled back a few days ago, started again, and pulled back to the HB4 price again, and it has failed as well. Now, not significantly, but it has certainly failed to hold, as it did the last time. And finally, NVIDIA. Well, that came roaring up to its HB4, broke out, had a nice run, looked like it was pulling right back down to the HB4, so a typical kind of a breakout, pull back, and the HB4 price has failed. Well, let's keep going. Facebook came right up dead to its bubble price, and look, that's where it had peaked out back in 2018. And it has had quite a setback since it came right up there. Well, I had warned you that that may well be the case, and that's happened. Apple, well, Apple came up to its HB5 price, and it's having a setback. And finally, Alphabet. Well, you know, I had been talking about Alphabet for some while, and I'd said, look, you know, Alphabet has had a dickens of a time actually getting up to its mid-super growth price. That's 5.5 times book value. And indeed, that turned out to be the case this time around as well. So, what have we got? Alphabet's broken out over its HB4. That's 20 times, and was looking increasingly positive north of there. I did observe that if I held the stock, I would have held it all the way along, given its growth rate of about 35%. The pullback to the HB4, now a bit below, however, is a little disconcerting, although perhaps not entirely surprising given where the overall market is right now. Microsoft dithered for a while and was looking increasingly promising, although it, like Amazon, has pulled back below key support. Same thing with Netflix, made a dash for glory, also pulled back below. And 2 weeks ago, NVIDIA broke out, okay, and I observed that if anybody was thinking of buying the stock, I'd be inclined to wait for the pullback. Well, it's pulled back all right. Only now we have to wait to see if this little decline before the HB4 price is a precursor to something larger or not. So that is 4 FANGs with failed breakouts. As you've seen for some time now, when we get a breakout, it's often followed by a pullback to, but not below the breakout point. This is very unusual. Is it possible that the market is sending us a message? Facebook was in that beautiful uptrend but reached our target, its old high at the bubble price. I said that I was concerned that it would be difficult to experience a breakout, especially as the bubble price is a very significant one in our mathematics. So far, the score is mathematics 1, hopes and dreams 0. Apple has split, and now the shares are cheap enough so that everyone can afford them. And I'm sure you have noticed that more and more people are picking up on my double the market cap theme. In the short term, however, the stock has run right up against its HB5 price, that's 26 times book value, and has set back. So, that's 4 possible failures and 2 hits and setbacks, which just leaves good old Alphabet. Well, it had a nice run, although I did keep observing that past evidence suggests that it could not reach its MSG price, that's 5.5 times book value. Well, it got to 1,733, and the mid-super growth price was 1,793, but no cigar for ringing the MSG bell. So the big question is that it? Have the FANGs exhausted themselves, and by implication the overall market as well? Because these stocks have been the market leaders for years. And if they go into the ditch, well, we'll have to see. Anyway, next week's FANG Friday should be interesting, because next week I'm going to show you where the overall stock market is. You saw how the S&P rebounded perfectly up from its growth price in March, as I said it would a week before the bottom. Well, the market is very close to the super growth price. Okay, the next major breakpoint up, or 3.5 times its adjusted book value, where it peaked in 2000. Earlier this week, the market got within 5% of our peak valuation measure before having its little tantrum in the last couple of days. Will lightning strike twice 20 years apart? Well, tune in and find out, as this could be the most important decision point that you will encounter, and you may well need SVA to help you out. Now, we've had a few questions from last week about Apple and the buyback stocks in general, which I would like to answer. So the first question is, Ross, you said that many of the buyback stocks with soaring prices are actually not growth stocks at all. I find that hard to believe. Well, my answer to you is, go and look up the sales and earnings growth. If you don't believe me, you will be surprised. The second question is, Ross, well, what about the FANGs? I understand now that Apple is different, but the others actually are true growth stocks with strong and growing balance sheets, are they not? Will they get massacred too? Well, I actually gave you an answer a couple of weeks ago when I showed you how Coca-Cola, a major growth stock in 2000, at the 2000 talks, kind of like the FANGs today, came back to Earth after its run way up into the bubble zone. I suggest that you go back and look at this again, as this could be a template for the FANGs as well. To reiterate, when Coke came back to Earth, there were lots of trading opportunities in the stock as it came down. And all the way along, there was lots of promise, okay, that things were going to be okay. And it kind of kept investors in when they should have sold. I could see the same thing happening again, particularly for Amazon. Third question, Ross. You painted a grim picture for the buyback stocks. Are things really that bad? My answer is no. It's worse. I didn't mention that in trashing their supporting value, the equity per share, many have also trashed the solvency strength, that is, the quality of their balance sheet. When these stocks crash and burn, recovery for some of these companies could be even more difficult as a result. And a final question. How come almost no one talks about balance sheets? Aren't the analysts paying attention to this important area of analysis? And I have to say, a great question. Speaking of grim, the answer is also grim. A friend of mine and a consultant in the United States, Woody Brock, made a survey of what analysts look at. He found out that only about 5% of them actually pay much attention to the balance sheet at all. And if you think that that's bad news, it gets worse. He found out that only about 1% of asset management managers did so either. I suppose that's why BNN viewers and our SVA clients like our work. It provides you with a viewpoint that no one else uses. Which of course leads me to a question. So what are your stocks telling you? You might want to take the next step in your investing journey and find out, as so many have in recent months. If so, just send us an email at info@strategicanalysis.ca. You get lots of benefits, not just access to over 3,000 charts of North American stocks. We get daily commentary, trade ideas, weekly webinars where we go into the nitty-gritty, details of how to use the charts to become a better investor, and we also keep our clients abreast of key market turning points. When you sign up, I will personally take you through our system on a one-on-one video conference and show you how you can use our work to become a more confident and profitable investor. If this sounds like something you think is in line with your goal, let's take the next step together. For now, this has been Ross Healy, the chairman of Strategic Analysis Corporation and a senior portfolio manager at McNichol & Associates Asset Management, reminding you that nothing, including investing, is difficult if you have the right tools. See you next week.